Welcome to a very special episode. This is episode 50. Feels like it took a long time to get here, doesn't it? Because it did. It did. Welcome back. My name is Judy, and this is episode 50. This is a podcast about knitting, crocheting, yarn dyeing, and anything else that's crafty. You can find me on Instagram, that's where I'm the most active, as the Autumn Acorn. I do have a mailing list, and you can find that on my web shop. If you go to theautumnacorn.com, you will see a place where you can get a free pattern. Sign up for my email list, or you can just sign up for the email list. I'm not as active anymore on Facebook, but you can find me there sometimes. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Like I said, it'll have some of the same things that I always do, but then I'm also going to include a Q&A at the end. I asked you on Instagram if you had any questions at all about me, to please submit them, and you did, so we have quite a few. Alright, let's get started. Finished objects. I've been busy, as you'll see. Okay, the first one is a cardigan for my youngest granddaughter, Charlie, who is 3.5. And the back, and the sleeves. So this cardigan was knit from this beautiful hand-dyed pink wool, and this was a DK weight, and I did hold it double with a strand of mohair in white. I made this up because I couldn't find anything I liked online, so I just decided to make this up. Then I ran out of yarn, as you can see, and I had to substitute with, and I used some Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool. And I think it's fine. Charlie's mom, my daughter Kelly, really likes it that way, so I'm glad. And I added these 3 buttons at the top. Now, the problem with this sweater is that the front sits lower than the back because I didn't include short rows. So that's because I'm stubborn, but when I got to the next sweater, which I made for my youngest granddaughter, Blake, I decided I better add some short rows to the back. So anyway, Charlie loves Nana knits. Anytime I make her anything, she wears it until it's just too small and she still wants to wear it. So she will be so excited when she gets this cardigan, I think. So then I decided to make Blake one, her sister, and Charlie has brown eyes, but her sister has very blue eyes. So I knew this one had to be in blue. So this is Blake Violet's. It is almost the same design as her sister's, except for it's smaller. And I added short rows to the back, the bottom back, so that, as if maybe you can tell, the back sits. I'm not doing a very good job of showing that, but the back sits longer than the front, and it's just perfect. The only problem, oh, and this one has 4 buttons instead of 3. I just added an additional button. For this one I did See, on this one, I stopped the texture on the sleeves. I didn't include any texture after the yoke. And with Blake's, I kept that texture going. By the way, this is some yarn that I had dyed myself with indigo, and I didn't switch up the skeins, so you can see a difference in the color. And this is why I didn't include this in the shop, is because it has a little bit of white on there from the cord being tied too tightly around the skein. So this became my skein. And this also was held double. This time it was held double with light blue mohair that matched. So I think that turned out really cute. Only problem is it's a bit too big. Blake is going to be 1 at the end of this month, and this looks like it would definitely fit a two-year-old. I had to cast on another one because I want her to wear something that will fit her. And this time I had to do I mixed up some yarns because I wanted to have a sport weight. So I combined this blue that I had dyed with Kool-Aid when I first started dyeing yarn, and I was experimenting. And I came out with this vibrant color blue, and then I mixed it with a yarn that I don't have a sample of, but it was a variegated blue dyed with the same materials, so it matched really well. And I put them together, and this is what I got. So you could see the variegated yarn really shows up. One button this time, no texture at all. It's just plain stockinette. I did add a skein of mohair, or I added a strand of mohair rather, to the sleeves. So that's why they look a little fuzzier and a little whiter than the rest. I did short rows in the back so that the back sits lower than, the back sits longer than the front. So overall, I think this one will fit Blake. Very happy with this one. I'm not sure about the sleeves. They seem a little short, so we'll have to see how it looks on her. I was really just guessing on the whole thing. That is 3 cardigans finished in about a week. I'd say that took about a week. I can't wait to give them to the girls. I think they're gonna love them. I also made a couple of Easter gifts since Easter is coming right up. So for Charlie, because she loves kitty cat so much, I crocheted her this cat here, which is called Dumpling Kitty. This little tail. And I just did a little French knot eyes and then a little mouth and nose like they showed. Isn't he cute? He's very chubby. He sits up really well, and I think she's going to really like him. This is the pattern. It's a free pattern, and I found out about this from Cherie. on Ollie and Bella's podcast, and she found out about it from Allie from Little Drops of Wonderful's podcast. And a lot of people have made Little Dumpling Kitty. Here's the pattern. Simple crochet by CritterBeans. And you can do stripes on your cat. In fact, that's what they tell you to do. Oh, here's a better picture of how they would look if you did do the stripes. But in this case, I just decided not to. Alright, so I used Top of the Lamb Sport Weight in this gray. This is something I had picked up at the Vermont Wool and Sheep Festival, and it was clearance. And then this gray, silver gray mohair, I held double. I don't know what yarn weight it calls for. Oh, worsted weight. So I mean, it worked. Maybe the cat would be bigger if you used a thicker yarn, but I'm really pleased with just this size. So I recommend that pattern if you need a quick gift for someone. What I did was, and this used a USD needle hook, so it's pretty small. But what I did was I stuffed it with wool yarn. I didn't have any stuffing on hand, so I just stuffed it with some, wool yarn that I didn't care so much about. So yeah, that will be Charlie's Easter gift, one of them. And then for Blake, her birthday party, the theme is bee themed because her name starts with a B, and I've always called her Baby Bee. So of course I had to make her a bee. Here's the little face in the back, and the little wings. And the little wings, I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell, but they're variegated with a little hint of blue in honor of Blake's blue eyes. So I love this bee. This was another free pattern that I just found on Ravelry. Here is the picture of it. Super cute. I just printed out, well, it wasn't a pattern that you could print out. It was a blog post, so I just went and copied it, pasted it, and then printed it out on, because I like to have a printed copy sometimes of my patterns. Especially with something with crochet, I was checking off the rows like a mad woman, really quickly. So yeah, this will go in Blake's little Easter basket. So I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with all of these gifts that I'll be bringing. And for the bee, I just used some leftover yarns. So I had this that I had dyed up with some turmeric a long time ago. This has gotten a lot of uses, this color. I've made a No Place Like Home pullover for Charlie. I made a pair of socks for myself in this with magic heels, and I've put it in some crochet blankets too. I really love it. And then I just used some black yarn from, I don't see it right here, but it was from Knit Picks, some like Felicia or something. And yeah, so that was that. Really fun. I recommend those two patterns if you need two quick gifts. The next finished object is I'm wearing it. here it is in all its glory. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I'm so happy with the fit. I ended up adding short rows to the back. Hold on a second. I'm trying to show you. I'll put in some footage if I can. But the back falls really nicely, longer than the front, as you can see. And I'm just so happy with the way this yoke turned out. I asked you guys on Instagram how long you thought the sleeve should be, and I got different opinions. Some of you thought they should be past the elbow all the way down. Some people thought shorter, but I went with what I'm really comfortable with. And what I'm comfortable with is hiding my, excuse me, I'm more comfortable hiding my arms. I don't have, you know, the greatest arms, so I like to hide them. But yes, I am so happy with the way this turned out. I have to get it tech edited first, graded to size, and then I will put out a call for testers. But if you already know you're interested in test knitting this tee, please send me an email, judy@theautumnacorn.com. That's the best way to reach me. So I am naming this tee Tender Hearted. I just think that name is so fitting, especially for right now. I think we all need just a little more of a tender heart. I think we all need to protect our tender heart at all cost. I used I did not use two skeins because you can still see there's quite a bit left of this. I don't know if it's half, but it's close to half. So I used about, let's call it a skein and 2/3 of this fingering weight yarn. This was an 85% superwash merino and 15% Donegal net because it's a tweedy yarn, as you can see. So it took, like I said, this is the second skein, so it took about a skein and whatever of that. And then I had this one skein of mohair, and I used it double stranded, so I pulled a strand from the outer part of the cake, and I used a strand from the center, and I held them double, and that worked out really well. So it didn't take a lot of the mohair at all. Definitely not half. I'd say a quarter of this skein it took. And then I used, did I use one or two? I don't remember. It may have been two. I think it was 2 mini skeins in this color that I dyed myself using cochineal. The brown was dyed using Cooch. I never know how to say that. Cooch. And yeah, so this is what I have left of the second mini, which is a good amount. I bet that's about 10 grams, so it took about 30 grams of the mini. And I used a US 5 needle on this t-shirt, which gave it a very nice drapey kind of a fit. There is some positive ease. As you can see, it's not tight to my body. I wanted it to be loose and flowy, and I think that's the perfect way a spring tee should be. So yeah. Now when I was finished with this, it had a few things in it that I wanted to tidy up. Just little things that kind of needed tweaking. So I started another one. This one I did in a size medium, and this one I cast on for in a size small. So here is Tenderhearted in pinks and peaches and creams. It's a little bit harder to show you without it being blocked out, but hopefully you can get an idea of the look that I was going for in this version. I love it so much. I think it's beautiful. And I have already split for the sleeves, as you could see, and I'm working on that cream color now for the body. The neckline is special. I did the same neckline here, but it wasn't as wide and it wasn't quite as, I don't know, feminine as I wanted it to be. And I think with this one, I nailed it. So it has this eyelet going all the way around it. And of course, in the back too, it is a twisted rib. So it's a little neater looking. And I don't know what it is, but whenever I look at it, it reminds me of a crown. I made it a little bit wider as well than this one, but you know, not a lot, but just a bit. And like I said, I just tidied up some things in here. For example, this the mohair section is one repeat less. Then I wanted to make the colors a little bit more symmetrical, so each section I tried to make them a little more symmetrical. And just different things that I did that I didn't do with this one that I wished I had. Not that there's anything wrong with this version. I think it's beautiful. But I just felt like I could improve on it, and that's what I tried to do. I also added mohair to the collar along with that strand of cream. And then I did that exact same thing here because it really changed the way it really changed the tone of it, and so I wanted to bring it from here back down to here before I finished off with the cream. And then on this version, as you can see, I decided to add some color just before the sleeve cuff, and I think that really ties it in nicely. So I will be doing something similar with this version. So yeah, that is Tenderhearted. I hope you love it. If you're interested in test knitting, please reach out to me, and I will get you on the list for when it's ready to go. And in the meantime, maybe you could pick up your yarn. I'm very excited about Tenderhearted. I think it's my favorite thing I've ever designed, if I have to be honest. And knitting it is such a pleasure. I never want to put it down. Every stitch is bringing me joy. It is not in any way a stressful project. I mentioned this in the last episode, but I did try to make every step of this sweater very beginner friendly, and I think I've done that. So without giving anything away, yeah, there it is. Stay tuned. I forgot to show you the yarn that I used for this, for the pink version, is here. And it's the same yarn that I used in this version for the pink. And then this is the mohair. They go really, really well together. And the cream is just a cream. And these are fingering weight, if I haven't said that. So yeah, what color would you knit this in? What colors would you use? I'm curious. Still have not released the gathering vest. I was ready to do so a couple of weeks ago after I recorded, and I just wasn't quite comfortable, and I needed to take some more time with it to make sure everything was perfect. I was waiting for a couple of testers to finish up, but I promise I'll get that out ASAP. It's starting to get warmer here where I live anyway. My youngest daughter, Sarah, she was recently engaged to her wonderful fiance, Javen. And they are picking a date right now for their elopement. So they live in Hawaii, and they are planning a it's not a secret, but they're going to get married privately, just the two of them, at this beautiful resort in Maui. And then they will have a get-together party when everyone can get together. But I thought it would be nice to knit Sarah a shawl for the wedding day. So I went online and I found a shawl, a lacy shawl, called the Kindness Shawl by, and I'll put her name up here because I may not say it right, but JAALA SPIRO. Here is the Kindness Shawl. It's very beautiful and lacy, and I wanted something not too big, just something that she could wear around her shoulders if she needed something to keep her just a little warmer. And I'm going to just be using this undyed mohair in this cream color, which I'm now eating. So I think it'll be a very beautiful and delicate looking shawl in mohair. So I hope she loves it. US 6 is the size needle this calls for. I'm also planning a cardigan, and it will probably be the same this same design or same pattern, only it'll be a cardigan. And here is the color that I plan to knit that with. This is really washing out. This is I would call it it is so many things. It's almost a dark blue. It is a stormy gray. It wants to be black, but it's just not quite there because there's a lot of shades of lighter shades in it that won't allow it to be black. But it will be close enough to black for me, and I have four skeins of that. And this is the same yarn that I knit this Tenderhearted in, as well as the pink Tenderhearted. And what this is a sock yarn that's 60% superwash merino, 20% fine alpaca, 20% nylon. So it's a beautiful, soft, but I think sturdy yarn because of the nylon. So very excited to be working with this. Here are 3 skeins left of the cream color that I'm using for my pink Tenderhearted pullover. So I will obviously have plenty because it's only going to take, I've used this much of the first one, and then I'll probably use about half of this one, and then I'll have 2 extras for another project. So that's always good. Oh, I've also been working on this little this little linen washcloth for Joe, because he loves the one that I knit for I was knitting up some Christmas gifts last year, and I knit us a couple of linen face cloths, but he loves them. He's really the only one who uses them, but he wanted something bigger, and I didn't have any more of that linen yarn, so I found this because I had made a little cardigan out of this linen, and I said, well, that should work. It's very thin, so I used US 1 Let me check on that. That might not be a 1. What's a 2? US 2. I used US 2. I am using US 2 knitting needles for this, and this is how far I've gotten. I can only do a couple of rows a day. It's just so boring. It's just knitting. It's really dull. I don't know why. But, yeah, I love it when I'm done. Speaking of Joe, my birthday is coming up April 3rd, and he kept asking what I wanted. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And there's a million things I want. I just couldn't come up with anything right away. And then I went down a yarn rabbit hole and I found this yarn by Shibui Knits. That's the color. It's called Suit. The color is called Suit, and the yarn is called Cohen. I think I'm saying that right. The perfect balance of linen and silk. So it is 70% linen and 30% mulberry silk. 248 yards per skein, and the weight is fingering. So I have 3 of those beauties coming soon, and they're gorgeous. So the plan is to design and knit a tank. So we'll see how that goes, a summer tank. Very excited about it. Speaking of my birthday, Joe also got me another gift that he had to give to me early. And it is this. The Swiss Army Knife Whittling Book. This is so cool. I have been wanting to learn how to whittle for a while, and I must have mentioned it, so this came in the mail. So I was so excited. I already have a Swiss Army knife that Joe gave me, so I have the tools that I need to make these things in this book. And the thing that I'm most interested in, well, besides the cool spoons, because who doesn't love a good wooden spoon, is the, I'll show you, the crochet hook. Yeah, so you could whittle a crochet hook, or knitting needles. Knitting needles are in here as well. I'll show you. There they are. And they're just done with branches of wood and the smallest knife on here, so super easy. And there are some beautiful things. What else did I want to show you? Give me toys. I can make a bow and arrow. But my main interest is the crochet hook, and Caitlin of the Cozy Moth Knits is having a cow. Let me see if I can remember the name of it. I'll put the name of it here. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's for when you are learning a new skill. It's similar to the cow that I helped out with last month that ended on Valentine's Day. Only this one is going to last, I think. You know what? I'll get all the details. I'll talk about that later. But my plan is to whittle a crochet hook as part of my entry to her cow. Some of the podcasts that I've been watching lately, there are 2 in particular that I have been just binge watching, and they are Unico Knits, and I don't remember her name, but just trust me, it is a beautiful podcast. You will love it. And The Knitter Next Door with Angie. They are both fantastic, and you will want to watch them all once you start, so love those. I'm heavily influenced by other podcasters who knit from their stash, and I have been trying to do that. That's what I used for all of these cardigans, and I just plan to keep on using whatever I have. I have a question that I wanted to bring up to you. I received another, this was a really, really mean comment on a pattern, and she basically just hated everything about it, and it was so vicious. I handled it really well, though. I said to myself, I will not allow this mean person to interrupt my day in any way, and I didn't. It would come back into my mind, and then I would just say, you know what, she doesn't deserve my thought. But the one point that she brought up was she hated everything. Like when I say everything, she hated my photos and the pattern, and she hated the font. She was very mean and said the font reminded her of something from like an 80s blog, or I don't even know. It was, I didn't read the whole thing. So, but this is very important for me to know if there is a font that is better to use for something like a pattern. What font do you guys like to see? What size? Because I do want to fix that if that's a problem for anyone. She made it sound like it was just basically impossible to read, and I don't want that for anyone. So if you could just let me know what font you like to see, I'll definitely, I'm willing to change that. Absolutely. Yeah, so let the mean continue, I guess. I don't know why. I don't know why this is happening. It's crazy, though. I'm going to do the Q&A at the end of this episode, and also I wanted to do a giveaway to celebrate number 50. So in order to celebrate the 50th episode of the Autumn Acorn Knits, I thought I would do a giveaway, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway both here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. So for the YouTube giveaway, I am giving you some of my hand-dyed yarn. So this is what it looks like. It's like a peachy pink and with a little yellow and I don't know, beautiful gentle spring colors, but mostly pink and peaches, and then this skein of mohair silk to match. Let me tell you about this yarn. This is the same yarn that I've been obsessed with lately. 60% superwash merino, 20% fine alpaca, 20% nylon, 4-ply sock yarn with 437 yards in a 100-gram skein. And the mohair is something like 70% kid mohair and 30% silk or something like that. And you get approximately 450 yards in that skein. And they were both dyed naturally. So to win this set, all you need to do is be sure you are subscribed to my channel, like this video, and please comment what you would make if you won this yarn set. I will announce a winner on the next episode. Good luck! Oh, and if you want to enter the Instagram contest, you can enter that as well. That will be, the prizes will be in these two skeins, which are very pink. And this yarn is a different base. This is a 100% superwash merino, 2-ply, fingering weight, 400 yards in 100 grams. And like I said, the mohair silk 70-30 blend, and it's 459 yards that it comes with, to be exact. So if you want to enter the Instagram contest, head over there and look for the rules. Look for that post and you'll see the rules for that. You can enter both if you'd like. Okay, so like I said, I thought it'd be fun to do a Q&A for this special 50th episode. And I have my questions here. And let's start. First question is, how long have you been crafting, yarn crafting? When did you start your handmade business? And what made you decide to? And that was from Squiddly Dinks. So I've been crafting since I was a wee child. I started knitting when I was about 9 or 10. I don't remember exactly how old. My mother taught me, and Diane Lion Dreams, hello, also said, how long have you knitted, and where did you live before building a cabin? So yeah, I've been knitting for a very long time. Started my handmade business in 2008, 2009, but it was very part-time. I was still working full-time as a teacher, and I was just selling, my hand. Mostly it was things that I'd already knit or crocheted, a few patterns, and then it grew. I ended up including just adding a lot more patterns, and it had a totally different name, different brand, everything, and that did really well. But I was still working full time, and I just couldn't manage everything. It was really tough to do all the things and do them well. So I dreamt about going full time, doing this full time for so long, and yeah, so probably 2019 is when I got really serious about it and quit my job and never looked back. So, and then Diane Lion Dreams also said, where did you live before building a cabin? There was another similar question from the Cozy Moth Knits. What did you do before cabin life? So the cabin, we have been living in the log home. I assume she means the log home because there's a cabin in the back, but I think she knows that we don't live in that. We just, that's a guest cabin. But the log home, we didn't build it. It was already here. It was built in the 80s. And we live at the foot of the White Mountain National Forest. So we're surrounded by mountains and forest, which is beautiful and lovely. Also means a lot of snow and doesn't melt quickly. So yeah, even though the temperatures today are supposed to hit 60, there's still like 6 inches of snow and ice everywhere. So there's that. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. It is so gorgeous here. The air is clean. There's not a lot of people. We don't get a lot of humidity in the summer. It's just beautiful. Next question is, have you always lived in New Hampshire, and how did you come to live in a log cabin? By Buddy1. And have you always lived in New Hampshire? I lived in Nashua for 17 years. I'm now in Rhode Island, and we still go up to the White Mountains. Dollies with attitude. So, no. I was born in Vermont, but we just had a summer home there. I lived in Connecticut for about 48 years, I think it was, and moved up here in 2012. And it had something to do with losing a job. It was a mess. My life was a mess at the time when I moved. I lost everything, basically. Had to start over and just decided to go to Vermont. Vermont is where I ended up. It's what I knew really well, and I had family, and it just felt right. And then met Joe, and we ended up buying this house together in New Hampshire, which is just, it's not that far. It's about a half an hour from Vermont, so we're not that far at all from Vermont. And yeah, so been in New Hampshire for about 5 years. Boy, I'm not good with dates, am I? All right, next question. I would love to know all about your cabin, and that was from Random Act of Crochet. So it's It's not a big cabin. It has two lofts. I use the loft that I'm in now for my office and all of my craft supplies, all of my, printer, computers, everything else that I need to run a business is up here. And then the other loft we sleep in, that's our bedroom. Down below this loft we have, it's not really used for much. It's like I guess you could call it a den. I really want to get like a sofa and put it in there for guests, so that one that makes it up into a bed. Then there's the great room, which has a wood stove, and then there's a dining room which has a wood stove in it as well, and the room below us also has a wood stove. We just don't light them all. We only use mainly one, the one in the great room. Then there's a small kitchen, galley style kitchen, and there's another small room downstairs which we use as a pantry. We have like a deep freezer in there and then all kinds of shelving. That's where we keep all of our food and like the vacuum cleaner and things like that. Then there's a covered porch on the front. There's a deck on the back. There's a wood shed. There's a tool shed, and then there's a large barn, which is where I do all my dyeing. It has the dye studio in there. And then upstairs from the barn, I have another workspace that I transformed last summer. And then in the back of the yard is the tiny cottage, cabin, whatever you want to call it, where we have guests. And I started out podcasting from that little cabin. It's really cute. I love it. We're on about 8 acres of land. We live, the house is situated on a dirt road off the beaten path. It's a private road, but adjacent to that, up the hill, is like a residential neighborhood. And we're in a small town with about 900 people, and we're probably 20 minutes away from the nearest like bigger town in any direction. So you can go in 3 or 4 different directions and you're going to find a store about 20 to 30 minutes away. So it's pretty remote. As far as like neighbors on this road, the only neighbors we really get are campers in the summer, because there are some seasonal homes on this road. One other home that's lived in full time, but we never see them. And that's how we like it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what we have. What does your husband do? Joe is, he's an Iraq vet, and he is disabled and worked 25 years in the operating room. He was a surgical assistant, and he was a medic in the Army, so that is his first love, and he is medically retired from that profession, which he misses very, very much. And let's see, the Cozy Moth Knits had a few questions actually. She also said the term HSP is fairly new to me. I learned it from you. How did you come across the term, and how did that affect how you see yourself? Whoa. So I'll never forget the day that I saw this term, HSP, and I'm like, what is HSP? And that was 2014 or 15. Probably 2015. Joe and I had traveled, we took a big trip across country to Utah and Colorado. We drove, and I was looking up all kinds of information on living naturally, living without chemicals, using essential oils and other things to replace like bad things in your life, and all of that stuff that I'm just so passionate about. And I came across this article by Elaine Aron, who coined the term highly sensitive person, or highly sensory processing person, or HSP. And it said that I could take this quiz to see, if I am one. And I'm like, whatever, okay. And I took the quiz, and except for two, all of the other answers were yes, 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 yes. Like, absolutely. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like, what is this? This is a real thing. Like, this is a neurological thing that you're born with, basically. And for so long, I wondered what the heck was wrong with me. Why can't I toughen up? Why can't I get thicker skin? Why am I so emotional? Why is it so easy for me to cry? Why are my feelings hurt so quickly? Why am I so sensitive to loud noise? Why am I sensitive to temperature? Why is it that when I'm hungry, it's not just normal hunger, it's like intense, crazy, like I gotta eat now hunger? So many things. I thought I was just, I don't know, weird, difficult, picky. I had so many words I called myself. And when I found out that there was an actual neurological reason behind why I am the way I am, I was so relieved. It felt incredible. Like, I can still feel that, like, I'm okay, I'm okay. Yes, I'm an HSP. Yes, that's hard sometimes to deal with, but I'm okay. This isn't my fault. I don't choose this. And I lightened up so much on myself. I used to be really hard on myself, really derogatory, really self-deprecating, very, just didn't give myself a break. And once I found that out, I mean, it was no different than when I found out I had high blood pressure. I started taking some medicine. I started to find ways to bring calm into my life. I started to look for ways to practice self-care to help lower the blood pressure, right? I started watching what I was eating. I started to walk more. When I found out I was an HSP, same thing. How can I help myself feel better? Because you can manage it. It's manageable, like high blood pressure. And so that's what I've continued to do for these last 5 years, 6 years, is just educate myself on what it is, what it means to have it, how it affects other people, how you're affected by other people. I mean, there's a lot to learn, and I'm so grateful. So, thank you for asking that question, Caitlin. She also says, how are you doing in general? So, I was doing really well during all of this because I'm an introvert, I'm an HSP. What's wrong with being more isolated, right? But being away from my granddaughters, being away from my family, not being able to see friends at all, not being able to see my cousin, I mean, those things really have affected me. Not being able to get, like, my hair cut, just things like that have been really hard. And I haven't always felt my best. I haven't always been in the best spirits, but I try, because I know it's almost over. Tomorrow I am going to be eligible finally to call and make my appointment for the vaccine, so grateful for that. And yeah, so doing okay. I'm doing about as well as I can be. Next question. Are you less stressed now that you work from home instead of teaching? And that is from Tea Hill Cottage. Yes. 100% more or less stressed than I was when I was teaching. teaching, and I've talked about this before, some of you have heard me say it, teaching is something I'm really good at, and I don't say that about a lot of things, but it was killing me. It was really not good for the HSP, Judy. Yeah, I would give it my all, love the kids so much, take it home with me, and it was just slowly just bringing me down, and I couldn't do it anymore. So yes, working at home, having my own handmade business is so much better for my personality. Love it so much more. Next question. Would love to know more about Meryl. Meryl is our black cat that, let's see, she is now 2013, my goodness. So she's 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old. And she was adopted from Connecticut. I was living in Vermont with my youngest daughter, Sarah. Sarah was going to school, and when she graduated, she wanted a cat. So I looked everywhere for one. She wanted a black cat, and looked everywhere, and I couldn't find one to adopt. So I mentioned it to my youngest daughter in Connecticut, and she was quickly able to find one. Drove up that weekend and brought us Meryl. Sarah named her Meryl after Meryl Streep, her favorite actress. She loves strong women. And she's been such a joy. Now, Sarah ended up going to college in Maui in Hawaii and ended up loving it and staying. So we have Meryl. I didn't want to put her through the trauma of shipping her over there on a plane, and she wouldn't have done very well at all. She's a real country cat and loves to roam around, get mice, but also really loves her humans and is just affectionate. She rings bells to go outside. We have a bell at both doors that she can ring when she needs to go outside. And she's just really special. She plays catch. She doesn't meow a lot. She's a good girl. She's a good girl. What's your favorite thing about pattern writing? By Caffeinated Craft Mama. My favorite thing about pattern writing is watching the design come to life. You don't know. Sometimes I'll draw a picture. This one I drew a picture. I knew where I wanted the color placement. I knew where I wanted each pattern, each textured section. I had it all drawn out, but a lot of times I don't know. But when I do know, it's really fun to see it come to life. I think that most designers will say that. Playing with different yarns is great. Playing with different stitch patterns is really fun. I don't enjoy the administrative part of it, and even the just typing it up. Yeah, all the stuff that comes later is not my favorite, but it's part of it, and I wouldn't trade this profession for the world. I absolutely love what I do, and I hope to be able to do it for a long, long time. So thank you for asking that question. I'd like to know about a knitting project that didn't work out. JubikH86. Haha. Well, I think if you watched the last episode, you would see a few things that didn't work out. I had really high hopes for this mohair yoked pullover, and it ended up being just a big fluff ball. It didn't look good on me at all. It was too big. It just didn't, it was not what I imagined. And yeah, I still think I am going to give that away though, because a lot of you on the last episode commented that you thought that'd be a great idea. A lot of you also commented that you thought that none of those projects were really fails, they just needed some tweaking. So I really appreciate that. And you may be right, and they are in timeout right now, and who knows what will happen to those eventually. But for now, they're knitting projects that didn't go right. Where do you get your inspiration from? From My Cottage number 9, whose project bags are to die for. I love them. My inspiration comes from everywhere, everywhere, especially when I look outside and when I'm walking in the woods and when I see nature. How can you not be inspired by nature? Seriously. But it can also be the oddest things. I could be watching a show on Netflix and something will just, I'll say, that could be a pattern. Or I will see something someone's wearing in a store and I'll say, ooh, wouldn't that look nice in this blah blah pattern or design or color. It comes from Pinterest, it comes from Instagram, it comes from watching other podcasts. I find inspiration in so many places. How do you cope with stress from difficult people? That was from Darlene. Well, when I got the message the other day, it was actually numbered. There were like 4 mean paragraphs and she numbered them. And I remembered the comment that I had gotten earlier about a month ago that put me into like the saddest state for a few days. And I knew that that wasn't going to happen this time. So I said to myself, I said, you could either let this mean person bring you down, which they would be so happy to know they did that to you, or you could just let it go. And so that's what I did. I literally said, I'm not going to waste my precious time worrying about what you said to me and thinking about it and dwelling on it and wondering if it's true and blah, 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 blah. No, no. The old Judy would have been torn apart by it. But I'm a lot stronger than I was, and I'm not going to let that happen. So, simple as that. Just don't let it happen. You're in charge. You're in charge of your feelings and your thoughts. Last one. Love your podcast. I was wondering where you find the materials you use for dyeing. And this was a Facebook question by Kathy Shameen. I think I got that right. Oh my goodness, the materials I use for dyeing. So I look for food sources sometimes. Onion skins, for example. Turmeric. Coffee grinds, tea. So food items dye beautifully. I buy extracts that are in powder form from Amazon, and there's other places that I've Dharma Trading. There's another one that I can't think of right now. Etsy. I've gotten a lot of my natural dye extracts on Etsy. I have used the whole plant before. I will just go out in the summer and forage for example, black-eyed Susan or fallen trees when there's bark, white birch. I've dyed with white birch. You can dye with so many things that you don't have to buy, that you can just find. Dandelions, walnuts. The list is endless, but I recommend just getting a good book on natural dyeing resources, and you should be able to find a color spectrum and then all the materials you'll need to make those colors. I mean, you can even dye with blueberries if you want. There's no limit. There's no limit. Thank you. That was really fun. Thank you for all those questions. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all of you in this community of knitters. I love you guys so much, and I have grown so much from just doing this podcast. From that very first episode when I was scared to death and had to redo it because I ended up losing the whole thing the first time and just having so many issues all along the way, and to be at number 50, and some of you are still here and you were here from the beginning. It means a lot to me, and I hope I'll be able to do another 50. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. If you want to win these beautiful skeins, you can just enter right here. Remember to like, subscribe, comment what are you going to do with this yarn if you win it, and if you want to enter the Instagram one, same thing. Go over there and look for the post and enter, and Good luck, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful month. If I don't see you, I probably will see you in another month. But until then, happy crafting, everyone. Bye.